My first name is Caleb, and my middle name is Casey, and people just called me Casey forever. I think Caleb is a biblical name. Not that I read a whole lot of scripture growing up or anything, but when I went to college, you show up and there's some stranger who's your roommate, and he read a lot of the Bible. This was at Columbia, and he told me that it's the first time. You'd think my parents would have told me. He said, "Do you know who Caleb is in the Bible?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, Caleb went up to the mountain and he spoke to the people." They did not name me after anyone, as far as I know. They gave me the name Caleb. I'm not sure why. And then Casey was a middle name. And then McGuire is the name of my father's grandfather, who invented the rake that most people use in their backyard. Not in L.A., where everyone just blows the leaves around with leaf blowers. Other people in the world, when they rake the leaves, and it's got the multiple little limbs that are like that. That was him. That was the man. He invented that rake. That's kind of the legacy of that's our dynasty there, is the rake people. First thing that I remember auditioning for was a weather commercial in Boston, and I got the job. The idea of the commercial was that you ought to watch the weather in the morning so that you know it's going to come later in the day, because it might look sunny, but it might rain later. I was a kid who didn't watch the weather, didn't watch TV in the morning, and so he went off to school without an umbrella and shorts and a T-shirt, and on the way home from school, he got soaking wet. I didn't even really know that was acting. I didn't know what that was. The only reason I was there is because my mom's friend was a local casting director in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and so she would bring us in for things like that because we were just kids that she knew, and if she was casting for kids, she'd ring the bell. I didn't ever think about acting really as a way of spending your life or a way of expressing yourself or as a way of making a living until I was in my late teens. Then I moved to Los Angeles after I graduated from high school and did what everyone else does, look for an agent, badger them for auditions, and complain when you don't get any. Manchester by the Sea is a town in the North Shore of Massachusetts that I had never been up to that part of Massachusetts. When I was a kid, we didn't really leave Cambridge, which is the town where I grew up in. We almost never really went anywhere. Definitely never up there, so I didn't know what it was like. I remember being a little kid, and I kind of had a crush on the female lead in Teen Wolf. The movie did not make that big of an impression on me. I was probably 12 years old, and I thought that the woman who played female lead was quite charming. Oddly, I think that the character's name was Boof, which is really weird. I used to love movies that made me cry, and now they all do, kind of, and I don't like that so much. I have my own things to cry about, so I don't want to go to movies and cry. And I watched The Elephant Man when I was really young, and I remember sitting in my father's apartment on the floor, and they had a black and white TV. It's in black and white anyway. Oh, I'm not an animal. That's a tearjerker. There are a lot of moments in it. So that movie, because I was so young and because it's so great, it just made a super strong impression on me. It stayed with me as I got older and started to watch more movies and love movies. I often compared them to that movie. My favorite event on my birthday, my brother and I had a birthday 3 days apart, and so we would have joint birthday parties. And one year my mom hired a belly dancer. She came to our backyard. We had little torches out in the backyard. It was about the size of this little room here, and we didn't know. And some woman showed up with her claspy things, and she started rolling her belly. It stuck in my mind because it was such a weird thing to do. I think we had a whole bunch of friends over. I'm sure the other parents are upset by it. I don't know, but that is one. And we'd go to amusement park. Mostly we just had a bunch of birthdays in my backyard. I don't think we did a whole lot. So the belly dancer was a big thing.